I think the book that made me into a reader, a really passionate reader, was The House with a Clock in Its Walls by John Bellairs, which I read when I was 10 or 12 and had all these great illustrations by Edward Gorey in it. And I love J.K. Rowling. I've read all the Harry Potter novels, twice. And I think people who love Rowling stories would so completely respond to The House with a Clock in Its Walls, which is almost like the missing Harry Potter novel. It's about a boy who's been orphaned, who moves to a strange town, in this case New Zebedee, Connecticut, where he is looked after by his uncle and his uncle's elderly girlfriend, and they're both wizards. And she could be Mrs. McGonagall, and his uncle could be Dumbledore. And it's a terrific story of magic and wonder and loyalty and betrayal and secrets, and it's almost impossible to put down. So that was my starting point as a reader. I suppose my favorite literary character is Maddie Ross from True Grit. She's 14 years old, and her father has been killed by a low-down, no-good, dirty dog. And Maddie takes it upon herself to get an old blunderbuss and seek vengeance. And the whole story is told in her voice. And she's so furious and so righteous and so weirdly prim, and has such old-fashioned ideas about decency, and she quotes the Bible at you, and she's so funny. There have been 2 movies of True Grit. They're both wonderful films in their own way, but neither captures how amazing and unforgettable her voice is. When a story excites me, it almost always excites me because there's a character that has some voice in it that's completely unique and funny and lights my imagination up. So Maddie Ross would be, she's sort of peak character for me. I think writers are often asked, is there a book which changed your life? And Michael Chabon probably had the best answer to this question, which is, probably the books that most changed his life in a practical way were his own. And I kind of feel that way as well, that I've read some marvelous books I love, books that inspired me. But in terms of books that had the greatest effect on my life, they'd be the ones that I wrote. In the sense of they gave me a career and they gave me purpose, and they were a lot of fun and introduced me to other writers and gave me this whole terrifically exciting and satisfying professional and creative life. I do have some narrators, some audiobook narrators who I think are particularly wonderful. Kate Mulgrew has read my novel Nosferatu, NOS 4A2, on audio, and she was so tremendous. She has such a subtle sense of humor, such a dry wit. She does terrific voices. And I just feel that she opened that story up wide and made it really easy to connect with it just through the power of her performance. And I feel the same way about Stephen Lang, who read my first novel, Heart-Shaped Box, on audio, that he had a voice that really made my sentences sound good, probably better than they actually were. And I so love Stephen Lang's presentation, and I so love Kate Mulgrew's presentation, that sometimes when I'm writing, I find it helpful to imagine how they might read a particular line or a particular paragraph. And if I can hear it in their voices, then I feel like maybe I'm on the right track. I've always felt that a terrific reading can make a good book great, and a great book into a kind of unforgettable, once-in-a-lifetime experience. A great reader can take the dialogue on a page, dialogue that you might just zoom past with your eye, and really bring it to life and make it into a scene. And that can be so exciting. I often think about Arliss Howard, who read an Elmore Leonard novel called The Hut Kid on audio. And up until then, I had never really understood why people were so crazy for Elmore Leonard. And then when I listened to this book on audio, I suddenly could hear the crackle on the dialogue, the jazz, the skitter and jump of the way Elmore Leonard's characters related to each other. But it took a great reader to show me how it was supposed to sound. So I just think that a great audio presentation can bring a story to a completely new level and make what was flat on the page into a much richer, sort of emotionally three-dimensional experience.